Here with Paul Wotton, head of game with Enfield on Saturday. Start of a new season. It's finally here after pre-season and what have you. How are you feeling? Excited? Nervous? What are the feelings going into the start of this new season?
Oh, looking forward to it. It's pre-season's always it's not great. It's not a great period of time. It's about getting fit, trying to stay injury free. Pre-season games, you don't get any points or lose any points, so it's we're really looking forward to it. We always do 6-week pre-season, and it's just this last week now. It's just getting ready to go and actually playing in front of a proper crowd with points on the board.
How much easier has this pre-season been than last year, where you had effectively an entire brand new squad, whereas this year clearly you've tinkered to it, but you haven't had to bring in kind of 18 new faces?
Yeah, no. Whether it's been easier or not, I'm not sure. I mean, recruitment's always very difficult. Obviously, we were signing at a quicker pace last year, out of necessity, because we didn't have a squad. We had one player. This year, I think recruitment, when you've been in the job for a year, you're always so. Some of the players we've signed, they'd been earmarked from October last year, so it's a waiting game on lots of them to get them in. Easier a little bit, recruitment wise, and it just meant we could be a little bit more patient. That's all with the targets that we had.
How's the squad looking this weekend? I know you rested Matt J and you rested Libby Dennis last week. Are they going to be okay?
They're fully fit. They've trained all week, which we knew they would. I did say before the Weymouth game that if it was a league game, they would have been fit. It's only sunny fish, so touch wood, we're fully fit.
How long are we looking for Sonny then, do we think?
So Sonny will be between 8 and 12 weeks. He'll be 3 weeks on Monday, so it's he's already fully into his recovery.
That's good to know.
Yeah,
You've got a good plan there to get him back, haven't
you? Definitely. The medical side are they're bang on that, and he's in good spirits, he's making good progress.
You've picked Matt Worthington to be your captain, obviously one of the summer signings. Tell me a bit about what you admire about him and his leadership credentials, so to speak.
Well, exactly that. His leadership credentials. He's captained. He's captained a team to the National League South title. He's played at a higher level. He's well respected by his peers. He's a good talker. He knows football. And he acts in the right manner that a captain should. He sets standards in training, and also he's vocal on the football pitch. So he's someone that I've had an interest in ever since I got the job at Torquay. Someone that I thought would fit the bill perfectly. And sometimes you have to wait for the right player, and we had to wait a fair time to get him. But fortunately, he's our player now.
You face Enfield this weekend. Some people would have said last season you did brilliantly against those teams at the top of the table. You went away Truro towards the end of the season, things like that. The Enfields of this world, they didn't go down, but they were towards that bottom end of the table, was perhaps where Torquay struggled a little bit, kind of unlocking teams.
We beat Enfield twice.
I know you beat Enfield twice, I was going to say that. But that end of the
I
season,
get what you're saying.
Get what I'm saying.
No, I know what you mean.
And I just wonder how you've been looking in this pre-season in particular to try and kind of, get a few extra lock pickers, so to speak, to try and undo these sides that perhaps are going to, put a bank of 8 or 9 behind the ball sort of thing.
Which we're going to come up against, aren't we? So it's just whatever teams put in front of us, that they want to win the game as much as we want to win the game. So I think recruitment-wise, we've recruited those types of players who will take the football, players who are brave enough to take it. And we had to play a certain way last year in certain games that, it fitted the players that we had for that specific game. Now, hopefully this year we've had 6 weeks to work on stuff. Hopefully we can see signs of that on Saturday. So ultimately, I just feel like we've signed players who, especially in home games, I think you're spot on in that players are going to have to take the ball, and at times we might have to be very, very patient. All of us, myself included, and it might be 0-0 at 75, 80 minutes. That's football. We're hoping it's not, but you need players who can just keep going and going and going, and you need players who can come off the bench and make a difference as well. So, I mean, recruitment-wise, I think we've addressed that, but only time will tell.
I wonder, people always talk when a side has gone so close to a title and kind of missed out, and then obviously had a disappointment in the playoffs, that there might be a hangover. That's the kind of thing people say. Have you seen that at all in your squad, or do you think that you really have been able to draw a line under last season and what happened and the disappointment, and you can start afresh?
We have no choice but to start fresh. Has there been a line drawn in it? I think so, but then you can look at it a different way as well. That the players who were here last year, they didn't like that feeling. I didn't like that feeling of missing out on the league title firstly, and then having such a disappointing game against Bournemouth in the playoffs. So there's a feeling of putting that right, which is great. And the new players who have come in didn't have that, so they've brought a freshness to it anyway. So I don't know if you ever draw a line under something until you achieve what you set out to achieve. Then there'll be a line drawn under it. Hopefully we can do that.
Fantastic. That's all I need. Thank you very much indeed.
No problem.
You've still got quite a lot of young players in the squad, but you've brought in players in the summer with a bit more experience as well. Tell us a bit about how they've fitted in and what they've brought to the squad.
Well, it's been a seamless transition, really. It's like they've been here all the time, and you're quite right. We still have got a few of those younger players, but those younger players will be so much better off for last season. The only way you get experience of anything is living it and doing it, isn't it? So it's boys who played in big games last year, they won't be as tense, they won't be as nervous this season because they've lived it and breathed it and done it. So although they are younger age-wise, I think maturity-wise in their minds and in their football journey, that they're more experienced now because they've lived it. So, and the new players who have come in, it's like everyone's just got on fantastically. There's been no issues with them. Training. I've actually loved them in training. They've been great. The older ones have driven standards. That's what they have done, and they're not afraid this year in training to say, hey, "Come on, that's 2 mistakes now. Come on, you can't make a third one. You need to liven up." Whereas before that was always my voice, and if it's my voice all the time, it becomes white noise. It just becomes it doesn't work. So you need different voices, and this year that's probably the biggest thing that I've liked, and the most evident thing in training and in games as well.
One thing we were talking about last week is the way the game is going to come to resemble rugby now, with the changes in the substitutions. Number of subs you've got, players who are on the bench, which might have been a bit of a disappointment in years gone by, are going to be absolutely crucial. They're kind of the game changers now, aren't they? Yeah,
it's becoming much more that way. Hopefully we don't play the game like rugby, but there's definitely, we spoke about it a couple of times this week already. You can almost make pre-planned substitutions now, especially. 46 games. I know. Listen, without we haven't even started. It's a tough season. 46 games, a long time, and I just don't feel like. Back in the day, you used to get 12 or 13 players who would play 90 minutes every week for 46 games, whether they were injured or not, and you just rolled them out and they kept going and going and going. It's just a war of attrition. Just football's not like that now. It's changed.
Thank you.
We spoke last week, I think, when I phoned you about players coming in. I've lost the train of thought. Completely
I do all the
lost the train
time.
of thought. Yeah, go on, David.
I'll say
Yeah.
You mentioned at the forum on Monday night about a couple of things that we've all got to look out for with referees.
Yeah.
When you went to the meeting with Steve Tanner, I think it was.
Yeah.
Multi-ball.
Yeah.
Goalkeepers. 8 seconds handling rule.
Yeah.
If you just sort of enlarge on those a little bit, and was there anything else that you were told to look out for?
So that's the two. That was the two main ones. Two
right.
main ones. The multi-ball has become mandatory. There'll be 10 footballs, not in play, but 10 footballs available. So there'll be 1 in play, 1 with a 4th official, and there'll be 8 around the pitch.
Yeah.
2 behind each goal and 2 down each side. which need to be put on like markers.
Yeah, we've
So-
seen those in pre-season.
Yeah, so the ball boy is only allowed to collect the ball and put it on the marker. They can't like throw a ball to a player quick. It's just about speed of thought really and fitness. And if you want to catch a team off guard or unprepared, then you've got that chance to do it. So personally, I think it's a good thing. Whether it'll work at every club and every stadium throughout the season is another thing.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And the 8-second rule is, well, it's very similar to the 6-second rule, but with the goalkeeper.
What's your understanding of how the referees will work it?
My understanding is it's 8 seconds from when the goalkeeper's in complete control. So if a goalkeeper comes and catches a cross and he's on the floor and there's lots of bodies around him, it doesn't start from then. It starts from when he's in control of the ball. And it won't be like 8.1 seconds because you get a corner. So that's the punishment is a corner to the opposition side.
Yeah.
I think it's like every rule change, it'll be quite hot at the start of the season. Then personally, when was the last time you saw a free kick for 6 seconds?
Yeah.
I can't remember it.
No.
So, what it will do, it will stop teams taking forever to do it with the goalkeeper. And I might be wrong on this, he won't get booked straight away. The punishment is the corner.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm presuming if he keeps repeating that.
Yeah.
That
Am I right in thinking, I may have heard this wrong, that the referees will give some sort of indication as to
yeah,
when
I think on a hat.
it's
Yeah,
like a
I think it'll be the 5,
five
6,
fingers or
7,
something like
8.
that, or
Yeah.
whatever.
I don't think it'll be like basketball, with
Literally
the
counting
music
it down.
counting down and all that. I think it's
Buzzer.
yeah. I think you'll see quite a bit of it in the first month.
Yeah.
Dave, I think you'll see a lot of it in August, but it's a good rule change if it.
Yeah. You're
gets
happy with
adhered to.
both of those?
Yeah, I've got no
Yeah,
problem
yeah,
with either
yeah,
one. Yeah,
yeah.
no.
Going back to the point I was trying to make,
Go on.
I'll try and make it again. You've brought together a small squad, considering the amount of players that you maybe had this time of last season, but it's a stronger squad in depth wise. And when you look around the division and you look at, okay, there's some really good players there, and there's a good player there, and there's a good player there. Is there another team that's got a core, do you think, as strong as your own?
I can only speak about Torquay United.
Yeah.
Because I'm Torquay United manager. What anyone else does is totally up to them. There has been some marquee signings in the league, definitely. I think the money every year is getting more and more. The wages are getting higher and higher. The transfer fees are becoming pretty common. I think talking about my squad, Torquay United squad, we've got similar numbers to last year, weirdly, but there was only 5 subs.
Yeah.
So now we've got the same numbers, but there's an extra two places to fill. Now everything, squad numbers and squad depth will always come down to your budget and how you use it. I could have signed more players, but not got the players in that we'd signed, so I could have bigger numbers. And there's always the loan market. We haven't used that yet. I love having my players with me all the time. I love having contracted players. And I think it means more to them. I think you get more from it. And whilst every signing is a gamble, loans are a huge gamble. So I think it's at the moment I'm really comfortable with where we are. That's not to say that we're not always looking to recruit. And there may be 1 or 2 of ours who go out on loan as well. So, and that's not because we want to get rid of those players. That's because those players need games. Now, without a reserve team, very difficult. It's very difficult because players, they might play 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 2 minutes there, maybe not play, and then a player in their position gets injured and they're starting. And I think it's very unfair because all of a sudden then I'm looking at that player and I'm going, well, he's breathing heavy, or well, it's natural, he hasn't played. So you've got to do what's right for the player, which in turn becomes right for the club. So there may be a little bit of movement on that over the weekend, maybe early next week.
We might just answer this, but I was just thinking, with the extra 2 places on the subs bench, does that make you less likely to loan players out? Are you more likely to keep your players closer to home?
Well, I think it would totally depend on the players need minute. They need to play football as well. So if they're out playing football and getting regular 90 minutes, that's only going to benefit us when we need them.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a juggling act. I mean, obviously, it's been well documented with the 7 subs that one of those will obviously be a goalkeeper. It'd be very, very foolish of me not to have a goalkeeper with 7 subs available. Even though, and just without repeating myself from last season, the percentage of a goalkeeper coming on a game is less than 1%. People get really caught up in not having a goalie on the bench. It wasn't a drama last year, was it? You know, we never got caught out, and it's touch wood, and very rarely you do get caught. Very rarely you get caught out. But with 7 subs, we're going to have one this year. So there's 6 outfield players.
Paul, you've talked really about trying to get quality over quantity this year.
Yeah.
And we could see you've got sort of at least 4 of that really successful Yeovil team, haven't you? You've got Sunnylow, Everton, and
Yep.
Worthington added to Young and Morgan. Player that's maybe not had quite as much airtime, if you like, Louis Dennis. Obviously, he's got promotion-winning experience with Bromley. Did you want to just give us a bit of a heads up about him? What can we expect from him?
Louis can play anywhere in the forward area. So he can play as a 10, can play left wing, can play right wing, can play as a lone central striker, can play in a 2 up front. He brings something completely different to what we had last year. He's a completely different dynamic. He's a rangy runner, so he gives us that little bit of pace in behind. As you just touched on, great experience, has played in big games, played 19 games in League 2 last year for Bromley. So he brings that wealth of experience. He's also a leader, not in the sense of a Worthington leader, but he's a very quiet leader and will pull players to the side and have a chat with them. And he trains tremendously hard as well. He's had a little grumbling back issue, which means he hasn't played as many minutes as we would have liked in pre-season. But he's trained all this week and he's fully fit. But he's also a great guy. He's a great guy and really fits into the DNA of what would, that culture that we're trying really hard to build here. And he wants to be here, Clive. He wants to be here, and hopefully he's here for a long time.
Can you just tell us a bit more about the culture, what the Torquay DNA now?
Yeah, so without sounding like I've swallowed a coaching book, it's you got to be a good person. So straight off the bat, you got to be a good football player, right? That's the first thing. So highlight a player: is he a good football player? Yes. Do I want him at the club? Yes. But then you got to go quite deep into what they're like as a person, because there's no point signing a good football player who upsets everyone all the time on the training ground, or and it's all well and good. I've got no problem with someone not being a nice guy on the football pitch. That's perfect. But off the football pitch, I think it's really important the way the Bryn are, the way the club is, the way the staff are around the place. I think it's really important to be a good person. Really, really important. And I think our squad are a credit. I really do. I think they're great guys. They've always got time for people. There's not one big time person in there. They're very humble, and that's something that will constantly keep drumming into them. On the pitch, if they're a different animal, perfect. No problem whatsoever with that, because that's sport. But the DNA is someone who will come in, someone who wants to be here, someone who's not here for a paycheck, someone who's not here for a last dance, someone who wants to be here, someone who wants to work hard, and someone who will give everything for Torquay United, but ultimately is a good person as well. So I think I think we're pretty much there with all the boys in the squad at the moment.